everybody, welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal.
And I'm Joel.
Hey, Joel, welcome back to the show, man.
Feels good to be back. You know about my podcasting addiction. If I don't talk into a microphone at least 3 to 4 times a week, I get cold sweats, night terrors, the whole nine.
I heard your dad found you last week in a bathrobe just talking into a microphone while you were just standing in the tub, just like, hey, everybody, we got a great show today.
It happens. I hate to admit it. It's rough, I tell you. And man, luckily the mic wasn't plugged in. If I dropped the Yeti in the tub, that would have been really bad.
Yeah. That would have been a cry for help more than a sickness. Today we're going to talk about evil organizations, but like people are asking about if we're going to talk about like YouTube or Microsoft. No. We're talking about evil organizations that are fictitious.
In fiction.
And we're going to try and focus more like on comics and maybe cartoons and movies.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about those fictitious organizations, the organizations that it's okay to wear a t-shirt sporting their logo.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, the evil organizations that exist in the real world, like the Aryan Nation, or...
Which you probably shouldn't.
You know, or Apple. But yeah, so we're going to jump into this. We got a huge list of organizations that are evil, that have a place near and dear to our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by the way, people are asking if there's a fridge behind me. Yeah, I'm in the break room.
Oh, nice.
ComicPOP. The whole computer rig is on wheels so that I can roll it into the back issue set, so that when we shoot our inevitable 60,000 subscriber live stream, it'll be ready to go. The problem is we haven't gotten there yet. So tell your friends, tell your family, and just listen. Good, Bad, and the Ugly is a new show. Elseworlds Exchange is a great show. Get people interested in this channel and get them to subscribe, and more importantly, to watch these programs, because tell
everybody.
We got a litany of fantastic stuff for you to check out. I'm sorry I turned into a commercial first, but you know what? Like, if you want to see a 60,000 subscriber live show, it's going to be faster if you get people to fucking subscribe.
Yeah. It's a self-promotion. It's an important skill to master in our line of work.
Now, some people in the chat have already suggested some members or some organizations, but like, I'm thinking specifically about those organizations that offer a 401k. Like organizations with logos and everything. Ryan Radford, by the way, just dropped some significant bread into the super chat for Joel to say, this is for flipping Benny off yesterday. It's true.
I've done it before, but no one ever gave me $20 for. I can have that money, right, Sal? That was for me.
that's for you. That's specifically for you. By the way, that was well, I think it was because we had so many eyes on that episode. That was a particularly popular episode of the weekly poll yesterday.
I planned that in advance. Like, you know what I'm going to do now?
I'm going to not do what he thinks I'm going to do.
I'm going to mess him up, man.
But yeah, exactly. But, like, you know, sure, there's some evil organizations out there. Kingpin's Criminal Empire, as was referenced in the chat. But, like, that's, first of all, it's unofficial. Secondly, there's no logo. Thirdly, there's no dental plan. You know, if you're a member of an evil organization that's run by a crime boss, most of it is predicated on like anonymity and secrecy. There's no good logo or secret handshake. You know, it's just kind of meh.
I mean, I'm sure if you were sick, he would take you to some disgraced Armenian vet who would be able to sew you up.
Sure, I'm sure. I'm thinking more specifically about things like Hydra. Hydra is an evil organization that has gotten a lot of press over the last decade.
Probably more than it's had in a long time.
Yes, although I would say, honestly, as a long-standing Marvel Comics reader, Hydra has always been one of my go-to evil organizations. For one, because Marvel always used them when they needed to have a group of Cobra-esque drones to blow up.
When you need guys in uniforms to get punched, when you need an endless wave of mooks to fight the hero.
And that's the thing, and I guarantee you that Hydra was almost solely created to give the artist a break. So that instead of drawing like 16 distinct thugs that all have families and ethnic backgrounds, rather, here's a group of all primarily white dudes in green uniforms that are all the same color and shape and size.
Yep. A bunch of nondescript stormtroopers.
Especially earlier in the run of Hydra, there were very few like overweight or distinctly ethnic members of Hydra. They're mostly just a bunch of white guys in green and yellow outfits.
Giving you one of these.
Yeah, giving you even that wasn't even really all that prevalent back when I was reading them. Back then, it
No,
was just like
the movie made that more of a thing.
the movie made that a thing where they're like, we need to do something that's vaguely Aryan nation, like is Nazi-esque, but we also don't want to offend anybody by actually having them Heil Hitler. So
they need a hand signal, but it can't be too raw, it can't be too real,
and it can't be co-opting someone else's. Like, it can't be like the Black Power, like, handheld.
Yeah,
they might get really upset with that. So let's just do the double fist. It makes us look like stupid Supermen children pretending.
Sure
but I will say, I love Hydra, or at least I did when it was just and by Avengers, Spider-Man, Daredevil, like any superhero that needed a faceless organization. Go, Hydra needs to steal a death ray. They're trying to steal a crystal that's going to power a weapon that's going to melt the polar ice caps. We gotta beat these guys, and they always are defeated handily, like easily. By the way, NG Demigod in the super chat says thanks in advance for the TK3 back issues tonight, because I had to drop that foolishness. I hear you, man. A lot of people did.
I did.
For those who are not in the know, Dark Knight 3 Master Race coming this evening for back issues. If you're not familiar, go check it out.
Man, it's like I'm a fan of Sal. I work with Sal. I'm super excited to see that video anywhere.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's a little long too. It's not as long as I expected. This episode is like, I think, a little under an hour. The next episode, which is also, we're actually going to see like how we're doing, because back issues is kind of it's not doing as well as I would hope lately, and so we're going to see how it does with Dark Knight 3. And then the next one is going to be a big Spider-Man book, which is almost a double-length episode, so I hope you guys enjoy that one as well. So we're going to see how it goes. But I'm very excited for the enthusiasm for DK3, because I certainly didn't have any when it came out. But yeah, I love Hydra and how lame they were, and how like Marvel went, no, they're really evil and they're really effective too. Like, you can't, like, that's part of the reason I think why I couldn't get into Secret Empire, is because I could never really get into the effectiveness or the mystique of Hydra.
Because they were too jokey for too long, and then to see them become ultra competent.
Yeah, they were practically Sphinx from Venture Brothers, or the Monarch's henchmen. Like, they're literally just those guys. I mean, of course, the Monarch's henchmen. If you're not familiar with Venture Brothers, watch Venture Brothers. But,
so good.
But Venture Brothers' Monarch's henchmen are, I think, a perfect amalgam of Hydra and AIM.
They really are.
And that's another one I want to talk about a little bit, is AIM.
I was going to say, before we move on to that, the thing about Hydra, but why I think Hydra is such a perfect evil organization, too, is that their ideology is so wonderfully malleable to whatever is evil at the time, where it's like, we're a deep Nazi science division. No, now we're kind of more like weird alien space god worshippers. Okay, now we're representative of like some actual crazy shit happening in the real world right now. We're representative of everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that if you are a joke organization that has no distinctly specific theming except for like a fake octopus, then you basically can just make them fit into any mold you want throughout time, and they do. However, I will say, AIM, not so much. I've always liked AIM and their design. If you're not familiar with AIM, they're
really cool looking.
Stands for Advanced Idea Mechanics. These were basically the evil scientist version of Hydra. At least that's how I always interpreted them. I always called them beekeepers, and every time I see more than one AIM soldier, and you never see one by themselves at a con, I always clasp them on the shoulder and say, nice work, because I love the beekeeper outfit design, and if it's really good looking, I'll give them a $5, because like, it's just so awesome to see it in the real world.
It is a good look.
I love AIM. I don't know why. I think it's because I like the yellow theming, but like, they're basically just evil scientists. I don't know. Like, what is the deal with AIM?
They're a collection of mad scientists. Again, like they said, that you always fit the role where it's like, we need a death ray, we need a doomsday device, we need, a pathogen that will infect the world. What I always dug about AIM is that they have like this very office drone like hierarchy to them, because it's like, you have the AIM commanders, and then you have MODOK, and then you have everything. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's like actually working a day-to-day job being an AIM agent.
That's the thing. It's actually, I was so upset in Iron Man 3 when I saw Tony wearing an AIM t-shirt. And I was like, hey, whoa. First of all, you just threw AIM away as a one-off joke, and then it turned out, what was it, the Mandarin / Killian was running AIM or something.
Yes.
what a waste. What a waste of a great evil scientist empire. But also, I always hated their connection to MODOK.
Yeah.
Because I hate MODOK.
Do you now?
I think MODOK is stupid. I think he's a joke. I think he's been relegated to a joke. I think for the better part of the last 20 years. There's been no...
He hasn't been a serious threat in a long time. He has been a punchline in every story he showed up.
And as well he should, because he looks stupid. And by the way, I think that I'm surprised there was never any like gritty, edgy, evil MODOK in the 90s where it's like, I downloaded my mind into a hot, attractive body that wears a steel metal arm and has 16 guns and 12 pouches.
And a trench coat.
And now call me like Mr. MODOK or like, MODOK, that sucks. Call me Blood Gunner. But I'm shocked that like MODOK is so inexorably tied to AIM, because AIM is such a neat idea and MODOK is such a crappy idea.
AIM's not even really around anymore because what is it? Sunspot took it over and it became Avengers idea mechanics.
That sucks. And you could have easily done a Secret Empire-esque coup over Avengers idea mechanics of like AIM people who are loyal to AIM.
That is what happened.
Is
actually.
It really? God damn it.
There was a bunch of guys in AIM who were like, oh no, we worship the scientist supreme. We're still loyal to the original AIM.
Shouldn't they be loyal to Hank Pym then, since he's scientist supreme?
I don't know. That's a good question. Clearly, these guys weren't the brightest pennies.
That would have been way cooler, by the way, than making Pym into Ultron, is if they were like, no. We worship Hank Pym, and Hank Pym basically Daredevil shadow landing it, where it's like Hank Pym's like, this evil organization of scientists all worship me. I'll try and redirect it into good. So, and you kind of Venture Brothers it, where like Hank Pym moves into an evil lair and like an island with a volcano, and they're like, "What would you like to do?"
That's literally what Sunspot did.
God damn it! Okay,
only it was just him. That's all New Avengers was.
That sucks because I think it would work better with Hank Pym, because Hank Pym is already like. First of all, they seamlessly made him into an evil villain. Secondly, people are already willing to and ready to hate Hank Pym anyway.
Yeah.
And Hank Pym is established as Scientist Supreme, so like that's what you do with that.
I don't know if it's still the case, because then New Avengers became USA Avengers. I think the idea was S.H.I.E.L.D. and the government took over Avengers idea mechanics. I don't know if any of the AIM guys are still around anymore, or if they just broke off and will be ready to be a threat again down the line.
Yeah, with no S.H.I.E.L.D., it's like I don't even know what they're doing now.
It's true. No S.H.I.E.L.D. and seemingly no Hydra, to the point they had to create a new Hydra-esque group, Rampart.
Yeah, Rampart. I assume, by the way, that Rampart was just... If you're not familiar, by the way, Captain America number 695 introduced a new like Hydra-esque organization called Rampart. They seem more disorganized and evil, and they have different color scheme.
I think they're supposed to be like the ass end of the evil organization pyramid, like they're not even fit to shine Hydra's jackboots.
Yeah, I think Rampart is just Mark Waid wanting to do Hydra and an editorial saying
too soon.
You can't use Hydra, and everyone is sick of it.
Wait like a year.
Yeah. But we've been talking about Marvel a lot. Do you have any DC evil organizations that might work?
Oh, yeah.
What have we got?
There's so many. Here's one that I think never gets enough love. It's a smaller organization, but it's one that is kind of cool and one I'd like to see them actually use a little bit more. The Royal Flush Gang, a group of super thieves with playing card themes that are all part of the same family, and fathers replace brothers, etc., and it's all part of this one like weird blue bloodline of people who love stealing stuff.
Yeah, I always hated the Royal Flush Gang. And I remember first being introduced to them, I think in the cartoon, I think in Batman Beyond was when I first saw them.
The only show that used them to any like actual degree.
Oh my god, no. Is it 10? Which one was the girl that Terry
10 was his Catwoman, yeah.
Okay, because really quick aside, Terry totally bangs her.
Oh
in
yeah,
that episode.
He does.
But
not even kind of hiding it too, just like, yep, that happened.
Nope, he cheats on Dana with 10. Fair enough.
What a dipshit.
Yeah, what a dipshit, but also like, I prefer 10. But that being said, yeah, the Royal Flush Gang is an evil organization, but like, I guess in the same way that like the Hellfire Club is an evil organization.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they don't have membership cards, but they're too high society for that. The Royal Flush Gang is like, oh no, keep it in the family. We're all, yeah, like you said, they're all blue bloods.
We're weird aristocrats.
Yeah, we're creepy, incestuous aristocrats.
Yeah, which they could never say because it was a kid's show. But I'm like, man, if you wanted to take this to some dark places in a comic, you probably could.
It's true. But they do have good theming, which I think is in keeping with our evil organization.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, they constantly have new members.
Yeah, and you're always getting a uniform is the thing.
Exactly. Now, once you join the Royal Flush Gang, you get the theme, you get the uniform, and you have to adhere to that theme, and you're part of this team, you know. And also, it's not too competitive. There's not a lot of members of the Royal Flush Gang at one time.
No, absolutely. And again, they're always replacing one another. It's like, oh, sure, I'm Jack today, but when the old man dies, I'll get to be king. So
exactly.
I move up.
Probably.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. Oh, no, I got, like, downgraded to something. I got downgraded to club.
Yeah. Nathan Berg just gave us an ellipses in the super chat. Thank you, Nathan.
Nice. Good job, Nathan.
It's just
Thumbs
like,
up.
I also like his icon is just a very shocked person, so it's just kind of like what we said blew his mind. But yeah, the Royal Flush Gang. By the way, can you tell me, because the chat is really going for it, but like, can you tell me anything about Hive? Because I don't know much about Hive.
There's been like several, variations of Hive. There's the Hive that is basically more in line with AIM in that, you know, they're evil scientists. Then, you know, there's the group under Queen Bee that has more of a bee theme to it.
Yeah.
And then, like, Damien Dark led them for a little bit, too. They really are just kind of like, you know, place fillers is what they're. I think one of the more interesting versions of Hive was the one we saw in the Teen Titans cartoon, where it's like, oh, yeah, well, we're in the business of creating superheroes and superpowered individuals who we then can sell on the black market or rent out as mercenaries.
Oh, absolutely. No question. They also fit the category of Captain Underwear model from S.H.I.E.L.D. with Ward, when he says in the opening episode of S.H.I.E.L.D., where he says, like, you know, the Strategic Homeland Intervention, blah, blah, blah. He's like, people really wanted our initials to spell out S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I think that Hive definitely qualifies.
They've had several spellings for what Hive actually means.
The one that, like, the hierarchy of international vengeance and extermination, weak. That is just the fakest thing. Like, that is just, no, you want to be called just call yourselves Hive, and then just make your base like a hive.
A big honeycomb.
Or just like a terrible office farm of cubicles and call that the Hive. I know if
I
worked for a cubicle farm, I would definitely be like, well, I'm back in the Hive. Welcome to the Hive. No, it'd be, don't come up with ridiculous sayings to your name. Norman Osborn didn't when he created Hammer.
No, he just wanted it to say Hammer, and he had cool uniforms. They were purple and green, because of course they were.
Because it's the Green Goblin theming everybody. That's, if you're ever gonna, like, we should actually unofficially come up with qualifications if you're gonna start your own evil organization.
We really should.
I mean, number one, I think theming is a big thing. It must.
Yeah. What's your deal? What's your motivation? What's the uniform gonna look like?
Well, yeah,
and what's your logo?
Your uniform should. In the perfect world, your uniform should reflect whatever you're trying to affect with your evil organization. But
yes,
you know, Hydra, they're green. It doesn't really work unless you talk about like how evil monster octopi are green, but it doesn't really work. So, you know, it doesn't. It's more like a guideline than a rule.
A lot of Hydra doesn't make sense. Like, they're called Hydra, but their logo is an octopus, not a Hydra.
Right, yeah, cut off one head, they're all just arms in the logo. So clearly it's a loose thing. But good point, logo. You got to have a baller logo that can't be mistaken for a good guy team logo.
Absolutely. It's got to be something evil looking.
Yes, must be evil and imposing, but also simple. You got to have a good graphic designer on your team that comes up with a really, really solid, eye-catching, minimalist logo that immediately affects your message from the moment you see it.
And it's got to be something you can put on hats and T-shirts and armbands.
Oh, of course, because as Yogurt said, merchandising is where it's at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Crap. Somebody mentioned Cadmus. I don't know. Is Cadmus an evil organization, or are they more like a? Because I remember they were supposed to be a good organization. I remember Double X and Guardian being a member of Cadmus.
Cadmus is a nebulous organization. I would say they're probably as close to a true neutral organization. It all depends on who's running them at the moment.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, sometimes they will clash against superheroes, but they don't have, like, a take over the world ideology. Their thing is like, hey, scientific advancement and, you know, making the super soldiers and everything and making a backup Superman in Young Justice in case Superman should fuck up.
Well, and they're also, aren't they subsidized by the government? So, like, they're technically just like a branch of the government. So
they are an arm of the government, which actually that leads us to a thing. Task Force X and the Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad / Task Force X. Big time.
I would also consider them to be kind of nebulous because they are an arm of the government. Well, they don't really have a logo.
Well, technically, yeah, that's a very good point, because I remember when we were trying to theme the covers of our Suicide Squad episodes of back issues, it was really hard to find a qualifying definitive Suicide Squad logo. But Task Force
Which I guess
X,
they shouldn't have a logo because they're a secret Black Ops organization off the books.
Thing. They are, in essence, because they're nebulous in as much as they are in essence an evil organization. They are organized and they are evil. However, they don't, I think, qualify as an evil organization because they're not exactly recruiting.
No. And they're being pointed in the idea of quote-unquote good. They're doing the bidding of the government most of the time, even though they themselves are mostly evil.
Well, and they're also drafted. Nobody joins the Suicide Squad willingly unless you count Flag. I was going to say Randall Flag because I got Stephen King on the brain, but
I like that.
By the way, Ryan Radford in the Super Chat says, if Waller's running it with Luthor, then they are evil. And
I don't think Waller is evil. I think Waller, again, is true neutral. She doesn't her left hand doesn't even know what her right hand is doing half the time.
See, I think she's a great villain because she doesn't think she's evil. If she's effective in her convincing that you're evil, then she's just an even better villain.
Yeah.
But I think
she's a wonderful antagonist.
Yeah, I think she is I think she is evil, but she doesn't think she is, and she thinks that, or she knows she is, but she thinks she's a necessary evil, and therefore she accepts her role, her lot in life.
I'm the monster under the bed of the monsters. And in fact, some stories have even gone as far as to say where it's like, yeah, Waller, you might think you're better than all of these supervillains you press gang into servitude, but guess what? You're in here with them. This is your prison sentence as well, because the rest of the government doesn't trust you.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. Like, we've been talking about comics for a while, but I did promise a couple of cartoons. I did mention Cobra. Cobra is just like every other one. Cobra is a great logo.
They got a battle cry. They got it all.
Oh man, yeah. They have I guarantee they have a theme song somewhere that they play on like 8-track. But yeah, Cobra. The problem with Cobra is they have a they have the problem that AIM has, which is they have horrible management.
Yes.
Because you have Cobra and you like Cobra Commander, and you have Destro, and there's always the threat of a coup.
Yes,
Destro
always.
is constantly undermining Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander is constantly undercutting and not believing in Destro's capabilities. And so, as such, you just have chaos and disharmony. No one is working effectively. I'm surprised that anyone can get, their teeth cleaned through Cobra's dental plan.
Cobra, much like Hydra too, their ideologies have changed with the decades and changed to match what is particularly evil at the moment. What I find interesting about Cobra is back during like the original Larry Hama comics and everything, Cobra started as a domestic terrorist group that was angry at the government. Like Cobra Commander himself, he was like a used car salesman who was mad because they took my gerb, and like they live under Springfield, which is like this small idyllic town, but everyone who lives there is actually Cobra. And I'm like, awesome. Wow, that's super frightening. And also, like, if they made that today, everyone would be like, oh, this is so topical. It wasn't when it was created. It's more topical now than when it was created.
Agreed. No, yeah. By the way, Ryan Radford clarifies, I was referring to JLU, great TV show. I agree, JLU definitely was an excellent show and also depicted some terrific evil organizations. We saw not the Serpent Society, but the other guys. There's another snake organization over there. I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah, there's the Cult of the Cobra. There's the Serpent Society. There's a bunch of snake cults. Basilisk.
Basilisk, yes. Which, yeah.
What is it with all the fucking snake cults?
I don't know. Do any of the Lanterns count as an evil organization? Sinestro Corps, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Sinestro Corps has definitely been evil for a long period of time. Same with the Red Lanterns; they're definitely destructive, that's for sure.
And they have a hierarchy. They have a health plan, and as much as their rings provide them with everything they need, they also have a great
super
logo.
logos and uniforms.
Oh, terrific! Yeah, no, I would love to be a Lantern in any corps just to get a sweet, rad Lantern costume.
And if you're really important, your Lantern costume can be a little bit different, and a little bit more customized from everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're Kyle Rayner, it can be completely off the reservation.
Heck, if you're Simon Baz, you can have short sleeves and a mask. You can have whatever, man.
Yeah, and a gun holster.
Yeah. It's cool. Leviathan, the chat mentions. That's an interesting one from Grant Morrison's Batman. Leviathan, which is kind of like his take on like an Illuminati, New World Order, everything's connected kind of organization.
Yeah, the Black Hand as well.
Another good one.
But yeah, I think those are more like aristocratic type organizations. They're kind of like like I said, the Hellfire Club, who, by the way,
they're also secret because they have no logos.
That's true. Yeah, no logos, and I don't know if they're. I think you have to be independently wealthy to be a part of that.
Actually, I think. Wait, did Leviathan have a logo, or am I thinking it's maybe one of the sub things of Leviathan? Because that was the thing. They're a group that makes up about a dozen other evil organizations.
Yes, but what about Spiral? I assume they have a logo.
They have a great one. It's a spider web, which you're like, well, there's spiral. Why is it not a spiral? Why is it a web? But they actually explain why it's a web, because it's connected to Dr. Daedalus and all that other stuff.
Right. I still say it needs to be a spiral, but whatever. What about Checkmate?
Oh, Checkmate is super. Man, I wish DC would do more with Checkmate. They've been doing so much great stuff. I just think the idea of Checkmate is so cool, because before they invented Argus as just being a completely S.H.I.E.L.D.-esque ripoff organization, there was Checkmate that kept all the superpowered individuals in line, and they had a chessboard theme, so they had a great logo, they had great uniforms, and a cool idea where it's like, the white set was made up of non-powered individuals, and the black set was made up of superpowered individuals, and everyone needed a partner.
Yeah, no, that completely counts as an evil organization. Because they're organized. I think that's a big thing at the end of the day, is that they are organized. What about the Legion of Doom? I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Because I think the Legion of Doom is kind of like the same thing as the Illuminati or the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
It's a secret club.
It's just a secret club of like separate bad guys who get together once in a while. Although that being said, the Avengers are more or less like that. I mean, like, they're a good organization.
Sinister Six.
The Sinister Six. Yeah, the Sinister Six has no theming logo. They're just
no.
Even though there's theming within the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery of most of them being animals, the Sinister Six are not, because like there's no sand monster in the Animal Kingdom.
It's like, should that be like an episode in and of itself, evil team-ups and everything? Because you could talk about like the Superman Revenge Society. At least they have a logo.
That's true. The Superman Revenge... Is it just the Superman logo with a circle with a slash through it?
Yep, that's it. But they have a logo. They got a little bit more than the Sinister Six and the Legion of Doom.
They spent a little less time on that than I do on the covers for these episodes.
I imagine Toyman sitting there in Photoshop. Okay, what should our logo be, everybody?
Well, we hate Superman, so we need a word that means no Superman, an image. We could put no Superman. No. We need like a device, like no smoking. Oh, that's it. Perfect.
Hey, I really like that Married with Children show. We'll go with no ma'am, but it'll just be no Superman. You're a thinker, Toyman. Good job, Shot.
Yeah, you've earned your spot. Somebody mentioned a while back, and I was definitely going to mention this earlier, but like, what about those evil like ninja organizations like the League of Shadows or the Hand?
The Hand at least has a logo most of the time. It's just a big red scary hand.
It's just a big red scary hand. It's basically the same thing as the Saruman the White Squad of the Uruk.
Yeah.
The Hand. Aren't most of them ghosts or something?
Some of them are undead. That's what I kind of like and hate about the Hand, is that they are still mysterious. They worship a demon. Sometimes they're assassins for money. Sometimes.
That's the thing, is that there's no organization within the Hand except when there is, and they demonstrably follow it.
the hand never really has a leader except for when it's important to the story. Like in that last Charles Soules bit, there was like the human embodiment of the beast, their demon god who was screwing with Daredevil.
Yeah, or the one from the show. I mean, like there's a lot of I mean, even the Netflix Defenders and Daredevil and subsequent shows in there, they have more organization than the comics The Hand, which is just like, there's dudes, it's just ninjas.
Yeah, just ninjas.
Just whatever,
League of Shadows and League of Assassins, which they've now split the difference and said those are actually two different groups now.
I heard that. I was always like, yeah, no, they're the same thing. But now, no.
Now they're different. League of Shadows is above the League of Assassins now. The League of Assassins is how Ra's al Ghul makes his money by, renting out the deadliest killers in the world to topple regimes and kill people. But, the League of Shadows, that's his, like, real badass take over the world force led by Lady Shiva.
Yeah.
Which, I like he splits that into two where it's like, I got to diversify my villainous portfolio. I need a group and a subgroup.
Yeah, I guess that just makes sense because people just were frustrated and confused by the separation. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, and inversely, because we said we talk about like TV and stuff. What about the Foot Clan?
Oh yes, gotta love them.
The Foot Clan's interesting because in the cartoons they're robots.
Yes.
So there's really technically only like 6 members of the team, and two of them are mutant monsters. One's a brain, and the other one is Shredder. So there's only like 4.
And don't their origins always change from like adaptation to adaptation about why they are what they are?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're Oroku Saki's order of worshippers, or a team he was a part of. I mean, I'm sure the IDW series has completely deepened and widened the expansive history of the Foot Clan and what they mean. I know that Splinter took them over and everything. It's a mess. Like, but when it used to be simple. The Foot Clan was a joke based off The Hand, but B, when the more movie and cartoon you got into it, it's like no. Like the Foot Clan has a logo, they have a base, they're basically like Cobra, only most of them are robots.
Yep, they got uniforms.
They have a hierarchy, they have a place to go, stay, live, return to. No, the logo for the Foot Clan is the foot.
Yeah.
And it's great. I used to draw it. It was like the heel and then the toes are separate.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah,
it's well designed. The chat keeps saying the Court of Owls. Yeah, they're a pretty solid evil organization.
Well, I think they qualify as the Hellfire Club, and the other guys, like, they're a bunch of aristocratic douchebags who
eyes wide shut cultists pulling strings from afar.
Now that said, they do have a hierarchy, I think.
They do,
and they also have access to the to the Talons.
So they have their own foot soldiers, essentially.
They have their own foot soldiers. I don't think they have a logo though.
The mask is their logo.
Oh yeah, that's right. The freaking look, yeah, because they're all homogenized. So yeah,
they're all Slender Man. They're all like Legion one is many thing.
Right. That's fair. Okay, no.
So you never know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, I agree with that. Somebody mentioned the Spider-Verse vampires. You mean the Inheritors? They suck big time. I think. I mean, like, but they are also a bunch of incestuous aristocratic people who are like
weirdos.
They're more like the Royal Flush Gang.
Much closer.
By the way, the Red Samurai in the Super Chat says, just wondering if you talked about the Secret Society / the Injustice League. They're antagonists of the Justice League, heavily featured in cartoons, and they should be villains in the next Justice League movie. I don't know if they should be the next villains in the Justice League movie. I think that...
I mean, if you can't get the heroes right.
Yeah, I mean, like, giving people 2 Justice Leagues when you barely introduced the first Justice League is... I don't know. It's kind of...
I definitely like the cartoons version of the Secret Society as why it is what it was and why it was different than other Injustice gangs where Gorilla Grodd's like, hey, it's a super villainous co-op, basically.
Oh, yeah. No, the JLU's portrayal of them, I mean, basically, we mentioned them when we said the Legion of Doom, but the Injustice League / Secret Society is so perfectly executed in the show. Where
it really is.
Grodd is manipulating everybody. He makes you think that he's going for the big payday, and then he's like, "No, I'm turning you on to gorillas." And then Lex Luthor's like, I was gonna wait a couple of weeks before I was gonna I was gonna betray you, but like turning the world into apes. blam.
It's really good.
Like,
I like the
come
idea
on.
too that like Grodd was taking a cut of everyone's like bank robberies and shit too to fund this crazy guerrilla plan.
I mean, like, by the way, perfect reveal slash twist is Grodd's. Oh no! I just want to make everybody into apes.
Oh yeah, that's kind of your thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been your whole thing. Son of a bitch! I should have seen that coming. That's all you do.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that introducing them, I think that the movies, if they do anything, they'll treat them like Spectre from the new movies, where they're like, hey, like, no, like we caught this one guy and like he was part of something, and like, oh, like there's quiet underpinnings of like of some kind of organization going on, and like basically teasing an evil organization, like setting up another thing. Tevia in the super chat says, "What about Organization 13? Aren't they evil?"
Oh yeah, it's from Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, those guys are pretty good.
I never played it, so I don't know.
They're pretty solid. They wear creepy black robes. They have this cultish thing. They have very complicated motives and everything. They do have a logo. They do have uniforms. It is the black robes, and they all basically have like code names and everything else. So yeah, they fit.
Yeah. I also, oh God, what was I going to mention? There was another group that I was thinking about.
The Guild of Calamitous Intent. I love those guys.
Yeah, they're the evil organization, but they're more like they're more like a parent organization that runs all the other evil organizations. Because like the Monarch technically is an evil organization. So is Sphinx and other things like that. So yeah, I think so.
It's a smart idea, and they even have quite an interesting origin as well, where it's like, yeah, we were brought together by all these super smart people to watch over the orb and everything, but the organization lost its way and got corrupted. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Where it's like, organizations where they start and where they end are often very different.
No, it's true. I was going to mention Intergang because I hate Intergang. They're so crappy and so
I love the
boring.
name.
I like the name too, but they're they do have uniforms. They have a theme. They steal. They're like regular mooks that steal new Genesis technology and use it to commit crimes. Is that the idea?
They trade in alien tech, and oftentimes they have a pipeline to Apocalypse. What I always like about Intergang is like you never see traditional like organized crime in Metropolis because you're dealing with fucking Superman. He'd deal with you in no time. I like that these guys keep at it even though they're dealing with a Superman, even though realistically they could take their alien tech, go to Gotham or Central City and freaking run that place.
They don't. Well, you know what's funny? I can imagine there's a scene where the Intergang people, it's a scene that you open the book or story with, where it's just like a bunch of disgruntled members of Intergang that originally like they all used to meet up to play poker, but then they started talking about how shitty the organization is and how they have no plan and how it's terrible, and so they started like conspiring, and so the poker games got more and more militaristic, and so at one point or another, like there's like 12 dudes and they're all in this warehouse and they're talking about how it's like okay, we're finally going to make the break. We're going to create our own group. We're going to go do this thing. We're going to move. We got to pick the city. And every city has a super person where we're going to go. And like one guy suggests Gotham and they're like, fucking no. There's no way I'm going to Gotham. First of all, there's too many other villains. Yeah. Secondly, the second the Joker hears about it, it's over. I don't want to have anything to do. I don't want to bump into that son of a bitch at any point. No. We're going to Happy Harbor, Rhode Island. That's the plan. Like, I can imagine. And then, the leader of Intergang shows up and like blows them up with new Genesis technology.
Which they've had a couple leaders. There's Bruno Ugly Mannheim. There was Whisper. Morgan Edge was a leader of Intergang for a bit.
That's true. Yeah, that's the other thing is that they have a high turnover rate. But Intergang does count, but I think they suck.
Now, it's funny, you mentioned Intergang. People, like, here's the thing. I'm going to say this now. The 100, you're going to be talking about them more because they're going to be the villains for that Black Lightning show. They were kind of interesting, the 100.
I've heard the name, but I don't know them too well.
What's the Spanish word for 100? They started as like a Spanish group. Yeah, El Cien, the 100. They were also made up of a group of immortals who amassed a bunch of wealth in racketeering and like prostitution and gun running and everything. And then they sent their agents of the original 100 to like all the different corners of the globe to start their own 100, essentially.
Okay, all right, that counts.
Tobias Whale is a member. Merlin is on their team as a retainer. He's like an assassin they hire quite frequently.
Okay. Somebody reminded me of the Pride from Runaways. Good call. Again, more of a shadow, like cultist organization, but still, I think it counts. Scorpio from The Simpsons. Yeah, Scorpio's more like an evil, like he's more like an evil guy, you know, who runs. Yeah, I guess he is not the organization. He is the guy who makes it work.
I mean, his group probably had a name. We just didn't hear it.
Right, exactly. They should be called Scorpio, but it's redundant because the guy's name is Scorpio.
Team Rocket, as the chat says.
Yeah. I mean, they're, you know, and as I understand it, like Team Rocket, like the team we follow around, are like idiot losers from the team. Like nobody cares.
They're bottom of the barrel. Everyone else is actually getting work done.
Yeah, exactly. What about
their
the
leader is
Giovanni?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Umbrella.
I hate them and how bullshit they are.
They are really crappy corporate villains. But in every video game, you need an umbrella-like group. Like, what's that game everyone's playing right now? Evil Within, Mobius is their umbrella-like group.
I see, yeah.
The freaking cult from Silent Hill, that's another pretty evil organization. And a really incompetent evil organization, too. They keep fucking up and playing with powers they don't understand.
Well, that's the thing. Don't get involved in Lovecraftian horror and expect it to work out for you. You know, you're not going to resurrect the god. I'm sorry.
Or if you do, he'll kill you instantly.
Naturally. Oh crap! You know who I didn't mention is the Galactic Empire from Star Wars.
Oh, very evil organization.
It's like they're like the number one. Like I think they completely count because they're like the they have posters, like all the other evil organizations have posters. That's like the hang in there kitty poster because it's like, okay, they got the great theming, they got the hierarchy, they got the dental plan, but they also run the government. Like they went from like a crappy group of militants to the governing body. They're like local boy makes good. They made it.
It's true.
So yeah, they definitely count. Although I would go from like organization to like evil governments, and I think that might be an episode, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know if we could get a whole episode. It's like, hey, the V for Vendetta government, you know, all this other stuff.
Yeah, although, and you know, I don't know if organization counts for the same thing as like evil corporations. You know, like does OCP count? I don't think so because I don't think they see themselves as evil. They're just greedy and stupid.
The Ultor Corporation from Saints Row and Red Faction. Good call, Savage Dragon.
Those guys are evil? I don't know. I've never played those.
They're super, and they keep coming back in everything, too. Although I think by the time, Agents of Mayhem rolls around, which is also a sequel to Red Faction and Saints Row, they exist in the same universe. They've become a new organization now, very much in line with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Millennium from Hellsing. They're vampires and they're Nazis and their leader is a robot.
There you go.
They're fucking awesome. And also, they escaped with the help of the Catholic Church and they've created 1,000 zombies to lead the new Fourth Reich.
Okay. Hey, speaking of Catholic Church, what about the Grail from Preacher?
Oh, there's another good one.
Have they come up in the show yet?
I don't know. I know there were flashes of Hair Star and everybody, but I stopped watching.
Yeah, I watched the first episode, and that was that for me.
You were done.
Yes, it was such an affront.
But how about The Boys? Amazon's going to be making The Boys.
They can fuck that up all they want to. I hate The Boys, so knock yourself out. They should have led with The Boys, had it fail, and then they could leave then they leave Preacher alone.
Fat Snorlax says, what about just the Catholic Church? Yeah, depending on what show you're watching, yeah.
Oh, yeah, depending on what Yeah, I mean, I think he meant, like, realistically.
In real life, hey, I'm saying...
Let's not get heavy and depressing.
Art imitates life sometimes, is all he's saying.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see...
Ooh, Shadowloo from Street Fighter. I don't know what they do besides wanting to take over the world and fight.
Right. What is that, M. Bison's organization?
Yeah.
That's amazing. By the way, if you've never watched the Pete Holmes sketch Street Fighter Red Tape, it's phenomenal. It's basically just his X-Men sketches, but with Street Fighter. And he talks to M. Bison, and M. Bison's like rolling out with his plan, and like the accountant is just like, you're hemorrhaging money. You have no way. And he's like, no. And then apparently you have to, every fighter gets to destroy a fully loaded, Mercury like car. Nice. He's like, oh yes, it has to have all the features. And it's like, why? It's a test of strength. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We're hemorrhaging money. Why don't we just pick one city? We're going to fly every fighter to every other city, to all the cities?
Yes.
He's like, yes, the world tournament. Like, no. Why don't we all just have them go to Atlanta? We can have a great,
Yeah, chat saying to the Templars from Assassin's Creed. What's interesting about the Templars is that you'll occasionally get to play whole games from their point of view. And I actually think Ubisoft is weirdly more sympathetic to the Templars because, like, I think like Assassin's Creed Rogue in the beginning of 3. I'm like, I don't know, man. The Templars are kind of winning me over with what they're saying. They're like, look, we do bad things, but all we really want is order is the thing. And like, here's the other thing. The assassins are like weirdly religious and dogmatic is the thing. But the Templars are like, oh, let the Father of Understanding guide us. And their ranks are made up of like some of the greatest scientists and logic men who ever lived. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of want to hang out with the Templars. Like, I'm just saying what's like, ooh, I can hang out with Machiavelli, the leader of the Italian Renaissance assassins, or, you know, I can hang out with Rodrigo Borgia over here. I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Chat saying, lean back. I think Joel might secretly be a Templar.
I think you might be right. I think we just found that out.
Look, Father of Understanding, guide us.
Decepticon690 in the Super Chat reminds us of Talon from Overwatch. Good call, man. I only know about it because Tiffany plays that game like nobody's business, and so I hear all about it. I'm fascinated by the Overwatch universe and what they're doing because it's basically a superhero team. It's practically like, and as I understand it, didn't the comic get all fucked? Like, I heard that like there was a comic and then like it got screwed up because there was like some like objectionable material or something. I don't know what the hell happened, but like,
I only followed it from afar. Like, again, I know people who are fans of it and I kind of hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact is, Overwatch lends itself to comics, and
very much so.
And I like the idea of, by the way, good call bringing up the evil organization from Overwatch, because like I'm sure a million other people are like, yes, who don't watch the show because they
talk about Overwatch.
Yeah. Do the Shi'ar Talons count? Oh yeah. I mean, we could go all day for like evil alien races and evil alien organizations from them. I mean, like
that's a show right there. Evil aliens or alien races.
Yeah, evil aliens and alien races, or just alien races, is freaking awesome. The Idea Men from the Tick. The Idea Men are a one-off, but yes, the Idea Men are organized and they have a plan. They're gonna blow up the dam. That's it.
The chat too mentioning more DBZ ones, the Frieza Force and the Red Ribbon Army. The Red Ribbon Army, definitely, they have a logo. They're a paramilitary organization. They make killer androids. They have scientists and a bunch of money and a leader and everything. Yeah, they're definitely fitting in there.
Oh yeah. Oh, as do, by the way, somebody mentioned the Brotherhood of Evil from the Titans and from Doom Patrol. Right on. Yes. Good call. Yes, they definitely count. They have a logo. They have a whole thing. They're together. I remember somebody mentioned a while back the Crime Syndicate, and I'm actually surprised it took us that long to get there, because like the Crime Syndicate alone are basically just the Evil Justice League. But like when you go to the Crime Syndicate's home base, like when you go home with them, like they actually run everything, and they are an evil organization, and they've
already taken over the world. They're the status quo now. People just kind of live their lives around the Crime Syndicate.
Exactly. Although I don't know, does the Crime Syndicate have a logo? Because I don't think
they do. The Justice League has a logo, but I don't think the Crime Syndicate does.
Yeah, and I think they should. I think there should be like at least some kind of definitive cool logo.
Like a big C with an S inside or something.
Yeah, something that's not complicated. Like I said, not complicated, very simple and cool. Just conveys and also to convey the evil intent of the Crime Syndicate.
Absolutely. The chat saying too, hey, when you join the Frieza Force, you get armor. What's weird about the Frieza Force, though, is that it's implied that they are only agents of the far greater Planet Trade Organization that we never hear anything more about. Apparently, there's this group in the Dragon Ball Z universe just striking planets for their resources and trading them. But now we got a punch, so we can't learn any more about this organization.
That's too bad. That actually sounds kind of interesting.
It sounds very interesting. I think it's implied that Frieza's dad, King Cold, runs it, so the Frieza Force is also like a family business on top of that.
Speaking of video games, before you mentioned video games, I was thinking about like, is Robotnik just an evil guy, or does he have an evil organization?
He's a guy. He's just a dude with a bunch of robots, I think.
And Bowser,
like, again, I don't read the Archie comics.
Because Bowser's more like an evil family. He's more like the Royal Flush Gang. Like Bowser
He's
doesn't
got his
have like
Koopalings and everything, yeah.
But he has to like make children that join his evil order. Although you got the Goombas and the Koopa Troopas and and all that stuff. So yeah, I think they're...
Which are they subservient races? Did they exist before, and did Bowser just press gang them into servitude? What's the deeper Mario lore?
Yeah, that would be very. You know, I'm surprised it actually doesn't come up in Max Landis' 900-page opus. But if you haven't read it, by the way, Google Max Landis' Super Mario Brothers movie, because it's a read, man. I got about 200 pages in, and I went, okay, I gotta stop. But
the chat's saying it's part of the Koopa Kingdom, so I guess it's an empire. Yeah, I guess Bowser is the head of his own empire.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, crap, I was thinking about the Galactic Federation from Metroid. They have a logo there, but they're more like an army.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're an organization, but they do have the logo, and they are kind of evil, so I think that works.
Like I was going to say, you obviously know more about Star Trek than I do. Well, what about some evil groups in the Star Trek universe, or are they all kind of like neutral?
Well, I mean, like, the Klingon Empire was evil for a time, at least as far as, like, the original series was concerned.
They've had some evil eras, but then we kind of get to know them more. It's like, nah, you're more like Cold War Russia and everything.
Oh, yeah, no, once they jumped into that, they were like, yeah. But no, I mean...
the Borg, but they're not really an organization. They're an evil alien life form.
Yeah, the Borg are more, or they're also like a collective. They're all kind of like one hive mind. Although, if you separate a Borg, you can get one. I mean, by the way, Decepticon 690 reminded me, thank you so much. I can't believe I forgot about this. Aperture Science.
They do what they must.
And Black Mesa. Don't forget about Black Mesa.
They're really evil.
But Aperture Science, they were, I don't think they were not evil. They were just, they were just desperate in pursuit of science, and they were negligent. Black Mesa is evil.
Someone says the rare hunters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Wow, that's a deep cut, Radical Radish, but I got it.
I can't help you, man.
Dude, they're an evil cult who wears like hoods, and they go around stealing the most valuable children's trading cards.
I mean, that is evil, stealing cards from children.
Yeah.
And wearing robes does add an element of creepiness to it.
Indeed.
But I don't know. Thank you very much, Langley, for reminding me of Section 31 from Starfleet's Black Ops. They're not an evil organization. The ends justify the means, don't they?
the Predacons and the Decepticons, are they evil, or do they fall into evil alien races?
I'll say this: the Decepticons, I think, count because you can defect, and they have a baller logo. I would say
they really do.
The Decepticons might have one of the best logos.
It's pretty great.
That's so good. It's so great. It was on my buddy's car for 20 years.
Nice.
But yeah, man, holy shit. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of the Decepticons. The Predacons, that's more like splitting hairs at this point. We're talking about the Decepticons. You know we're talking about the Predacons and all that crap.
Yes, Damien, the Authority, truly an evil organization.
From a WWE, god damn it.
Yes, it's like, ooh, we're the evil group who technically, because we involved the boss's daughter and like the general manager, we're also the bad guys.
Yeah. And I guess
don't you hate your boss?
And I guess you could talk about what's it called? The Clues organization from Tron Legacy.
Oh, nice.
Now I'm just grasping at straws. I mean, like the fact is, there's so many different. The Elite Supermans, like the people that fought Superman.
I like those guys.
DV8 from Gen 13. Like, there's a lot of different evil organizations that you could draw from. Obviously, we touched upon a few of them, but like there's a bazillion more. But I think
someone mentioned from Legend of Korra, the Equalists and the Order of the Red Lotus. Yeah, those are pretty good ones too.
Yeah. I mean, like the Fire Nation kind of became an evil organization, but but they're not supposed to be, and they also established like not all people in the Fire Nation are evil. So no.
Same with the Mandalorians, as they're saying. Also, I think Mandalorians fall into an alien race thing.
Are they? I mean, like they're humanoid. I don't know. The Mandalorians are a complicated bunch because
there's a lot of discontinuity with them.
What I remember about the Mandalorians versus what they've retconned about the Mandalorians are they're worlds apart. I have no goddamn idea at this point.
Black Sun is an evil organization.
Hey, there you go, Black Sun. Good call, man. Also, and I guess we could wrap it up with Weapon X is another evil organization. But again, I think they count as another evil governmental organization. Like they're
sometimes they're funded by the government, sometimes they're working for themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really understood the whole thing about Weapon X. I mean, like I know that Weapon X is an evil organization because they're organized. Obviously, the X is the is the logo. But they're also sometimes subsidized, and other times they're like an evil
Their
shadow
goals are pretty nebulous too. Where it's like, we want to create super soldiers.
For what
Why?
purpose? To sell them? Like,
To make money on the black market mercenary game. But sometimes they work for us doing mercenary stuff for us.
Yeah, like your goals are not very clear. You don't really. You know what? You're gonna have to like really hunker down and organize in order to get me to understand it. YK2K, no, fuck the Trade Federation. I'm not going to talk about them.
Put that on a shirt. Fuck the Trade Federation. I don't want to talk about them.
I'm not going to talk about them. I hate them so much. Roger. And the evil organization from Stranger Things. Yeah, I don't even know what they're called, but
yeah, they don't have a name. They don't have a logo. We just know they're the evil organization.
Yeah, they're the bad guys. That's all you need to know.
But I love the Morlock gang from season 2.
Oh, no spoilers. I haven't finished the show.
God damn it, really? I didn't spoil too much.
No, I don't even know what that is, so it works out.
Well, no, you saw them in episode 1.
Oh, yeah! It's been like 4 episodes, and there's nothing. So, all right. But yeah, so there you have it, everybody. We talked a little bit about, organizations. We named a bunch, and let's wrap it up with so if you want to start your own evil organization, what are some things you need to have in order to actually, in order to be taken seriously in the world, in the annals of history with all these different organizations?
You need a grand unifying ideology, but be sure to pick something that is easily recognizable, but also vague enough so you can change with the times. You don't want to be an outdated organization, like Spectre and, Hydra and all these other groups. Some of them have their roots in kind of like, Cold War fear or like, World War II Nazi fear. But, you want to be able to update and change with the times.
I would also say stay secular if you can, because you're going to cross that line from evil organization into cult. And while that is a noble profession for evil groups, you might want to stick with just if you want to actually, if you want to go and get tax exempt status, you go the cult route. But we're talking about creating an empire, like a company. So,
some groups swing back and forth. You have the Hellfire Club, then you have the Hellfire Cult and everything.
That's true. So I guess that's kind of that's up to you. But I would have your roots in something secular. That said, you also need to have a baller logo that is simplistic but also conveys your evil intent. Well, also, you have to remember recruitment is key, and part of that is a killer logo. So make sure your logo rocks. You also need to think about recruitment, and which means you have to have what is known as incentives.
Absolutely.
Why am I going to join your evil organization, especially if there is an equal and opposite good organization that will battle me possibly to death? Why am I going to give up my life, or at least risk it, or put it on the line for your organization? I got to have incentives.
Room for advancement helps. Having tiered leadership is nice. Where it's like, okay, you start out as a grunt in our organization today, but you could get a desk job, you could get a cool hat and be one of the top guys.
That's true. That's something that you don't really see very much in evil organization. I think it's an ideal that we can strive for, which is advancement. Because wouldn't it be much more heartening for a stormtrooper? And I don't mean a Star Wars one, just the people who execute the rule of law and shoot the bad or the good guys with their lasers.
Depending.
Wouldn't it be nice to know that there's someone from your ranks or someone from your position that is now up at the top, who's making decisions and knowing that they need to come up with better ways and to protect you and help you be a more effective killing instrument? That's something that I think is really, really ideal, and I think we can definitely strive for it in today's world.
Having a mantra or a motto is a nice team building thing too.
Absolutely. Also, it may be something that's simple and pithy enough where you can shout it during battle and strike fear into your enemies, or at least rally your own people together so that they can help you.
Cut off one head, Cobra.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you also want to be able to spit it into the face of your murderer, whoever that might be. So that they know that they didn't actually get one over on you, even though you are dead.
So when the superhero is punching your face in, you can say that.
You can say that, and then they'll make them angry, and maybe they'll stop punching you.
For a second.
And of course, like I said, with incentives, medical, dental, is always nice.
A kick-ass layer would be nice, like a volcano layer or like a big zeppelin or something.
It's true, and I think it's up to you. If you have a great location, if you've rent controlled, you can have a stationary thing like a volcano or a subterranean layer. But mobility is also really helpful. So zeppelin, like you said, the
Technodrome.
The Technodrome, a mobile group from under the ground, But you also want to be able to be covertly moving while also being an imposing. So I guess vehicular transport is another big thing. Themed, of course. Ryan Radforth in Super Chat says Hail Hydra, as to you as well.
A sweet ass uniform is also nice. Maybe like a custom weapon just to you.
Oh yes. Well, and that's another thing. Uniforms. You want uniformity. You want everybody to kind of fit as one, be part of a collective, but also have distinguishing uniforms that separate the higher ups, so that who's kind of in charge just by looking at them. You hear someone barking orders at you. You look at their outfit. You can see from their lapels they are able to do that, and you should fall in line.
Does he have a fancier hat than me? I should probably listen to him.
Precisely. Do they have wingtips on their shoulder? I don't know, some kind of thing that distinguishes. But yeah, good. Just basically, so good looking uniforms. So
yeah.
I think we're at a good place, So, in the comments down below, of course, share with us your evil organization and how exactly you're going to take over the world, or whatever your goals might be. I'm looking forward to seeing.
We can't promise you won't end up on an FBI watch list, but we'll try not to.
Precisely. It's all in the case of in the cause of a thought exercise.
Yes.
So we want to thank you all for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next week with an all-new episode of Elseworlds Exchange. Of course, don't forget to check us out here on ComicPOP every week for 5 videos per week. Go over to Cape Joel, check out all the stuff that he does over there, and stay tuned for a brand new episode of Back Issues. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.